Okay, so we all like to think of ourselves as smart, decent, moral people, right? But what happens when our actions don't quite line up with that picture? Today, we're diving into this incredible mental engine that kicks in to protect our ego. It's called the self-justification trap, and it explains how we can convince ourselves we're right even when the evidence says we're dead wrong. I mean, you know that feeling, right? That stubborn, physical, gut-level resistance when someone proves you made a mistake. It's not just about being proud. It's this deep, really uncomfortable psychological sensation. And we're going to unpack exactly what that feeling is and why it has such a grip on us. Well, that feeling has a name. It's called cognitive dissonance. Think of it like mental static, this jarring discomfort you get when you hold two completely conflicting ideas in your head at the same time. You know, like, I am a really smart person, and also, wow, I just did something incredibly foolish. That clash creates a tension that your brain absolutely has to get rid of. And look, this isn't about arguing over whether a movie was good or bad. This feeling, this dissonance, it becomes almost unbearable when our actions threaten who we believe we are at our core. Most of us see ourselves as competent, ethical, good people. So when we're staring at proof that we did something incompetent or cruel or unethical, that's not just a mistake. It feels like an attack on our very identity. So what does our brain do with all that painful discomfort? Well, it fires up this incredibly powerful machine I mentioned earlier, the self-justification engine. It has one job and one job only, to crush that dissonance and protect our ego, our precious sense of self. So here it is. This is the battle raging inside our minds. On one side, you've got your self-image. I'm a good, smart person. On the other side, you've got an action that just screams the opposite. That app creates this huge psychological chasm, and our mind will do almost anything to build a bridge over it. And this right here is the absolute key. To close that gap, we almost never say, oops, I was wrong, and change our behavior. That's way too hard. Instead, we change the story about the behavior. We justify it. We rationalize it. We basically become little spin doctors for ourselves, rewriting history to make our actions fit our positive self-image. And our minds have this whole toolkit to get the job done. First, there's confirmation bias. We go looking only for the stuff that proves we were right all along. Then we distort the facts that make us look bad, calling them fake news or saying the source is biased. And if we can't distort them, we just dismiss them. We literally forget the inconvenient truths. It's all an automatic defense mechanism. Now let's look at this really powerful metaphor that shows how this whole process can lock us into a belief system. This is what explains how perfectly intelligent people can get completely trapped by a manipulative leader or sucked into a harmful group that from the outside looks completely baffling. So picture this. You're standing at the very top of a pyramid. You have to make a choice. Maybe it's a little morally gray, a little ambiguous. From the top, the two sides don't look that far apart. So you take one tiny step down one of the sides. And this is how the trap springs. The second you take that first little step, you have to justify it. Yeah, this was the right thing to do. That justification cements your position. Now, every single action you take after that moves you further down that same side of the pyramid. And each step requires an even bigger, more elaborate justification, until you find yourself at the very bottom, miles away from where you started, totally convinced you're right, and utterly incapable of climbing back up to admit that first tiny step was a mistake. A real-life study shows this pyramid in terrifying action. Followers of this doomsday cult, they'd invested everything, quit their jobs, sold their homes, alienated their families. So when the flying saucers didn't show up and the world didn't end, the cognitive dissonance was catastrophic. Admitting they were wrong was just psychologically impossible. So what did they do? They justified. They decided their faith had been so powerful, it had actually saved the world. Their belief didn't just survive, it got even stronger. Now, that cult is an extreme case, but that same exact mechanism can be weaponized in any group setting. Let's look at how it's used to justify prejudice, cruelty, and harm, allowing a group to hurt other people while still feeling like they're the good guys. This is a really chilling but crucial psychological rule. If your self-concept is, I am a good, moral person, but you're supporting actions that harm other people, you have a massive dissonance problem. The only way your brain can solve it is to decide that those people aren't innocent victims. You have to convince yourself that, somehow, they had it coming. So groups develop this kind of rationalization playbook. First, you dehumanize the target, call them animals or vermin. That makes mistreatment feel okay. You frame your aggression not as an attack, but as retaliation. You even twist their suffering into proof of their guilt. And this creates a terrifying feedback loop. The justification for the first mean act makes the next, even meaner act that much easier to justify. And this is the master key, the ultimate justification. It's called the exonerating comparison. It's a powerful tool for any group or leader. The logic goes like this. Sure, what we're doing might look a little harsh, but look at them. What they're doing is so much worse that our actions aren't just justified, they're necessary. They're heroic. It's a moral get-out-of-jail-free card that allows for almost anything. But here's what is so wild. This exact same psychological engine, this deep need to justify our actions to get rid of that mental static, it can also be driven in the complete opposite direction. It can actually be a powerful force for good. So we've seen the downward spiral, right? You do something negative, you justify it by devaluing the person, which then paves the way for you to do something even worse next time. You're just sliding all the way down that pyramid of cruelty. But the reverse is also true. Let's say you do a small favor for someone you don't even like that much. Your brain feels that little ping of dissonance. Why did I just help them? So to resolve it, you justify the action by changing your attitude. You know what? They're actually not so bad. They must be a decent person. And just like that, you start to like them more, creating this incredible upward spiral of kindness. If you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. We love to think that our beliefs guide our actions, but so much of the time, it's the other way around. We act first, often for complicated, messy reasons, and then our brain scrambles to build beliefs and attitudes that make that action feel right. We literally become what we do. And understanding this self-justification engine isn't just about spotting it in other people. It gives us the power to look at ourselves. It lets us pause and ask that really tough question. Is this belief I'm defending so fiercely a real conviction, or is it just a story I've been telling myself to justify a choice I made a long, long time ago? And having that awareness, well, that gives us the freedom to maybe, just maybe, choose a different path down the pyramid.